Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fright Club, where we will discuss the world of horror movies. Some creepy, some scary, some terrifying, and some absolutely awful. First rule of the Fright Club is talk about the Fright Club. I'm your host, Colin. So I'm going to give you an idea of kind of what we do here at the Fright Club. I am going to review 3 horror movies, kind of a good, bad, ugly type situation. And I'm also going to tell you where you can actually watch these movies on a streaming platform, such as Shudder, Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it may be. And that way, you guys can go out there and watch the movies yourselves. And now, also, just to let you guys know, these are just my opinion. That's all it is. But it's a group thing. So you guys can leave your comments below, right down there. And also let me know what you think after a movie has been watched. Or if you have an idea of a movie that you want me to watch, leave it in the comments below. Also, it's a good idea to leave the title and then the device of how you watch it. So that way I can get a handle on that. Once again, such as Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, whatever it may be. So, I'm going to jump right into this because I'm very excited about this. The first movie I am going to review, you can actually find it on Amazon Prime, if you're an Amazon Prime member. It is on the Shudder channel. Shudder, Shudder, is a channel that you can get exclusively through your Amazon Prime, and it shows only horror movies. Everything is categorized, and it's one of my favorite channels. So, the movie is called It Stains the Sands Red. During a zombie apocalypse, a troubled woman with a dark past finds herself stranded in the desert with a zombie tailing her. So, this movie actually reminds me a lot of the movie Fido, which was a movie from a number of years ago about a 1950s-esque suburban neighborhood where everyone is very Leave It to Beaver, and they have a zombie in the basement that they are training to try to fit back into human society, into the public. And of course, everything goes wrong. This movie was very similar to that. In the beginning, the character was very annoying, and you honestly didn't really care if she lived or died. And then as the movie progresses, she becomes really funny, and you're not sure, is it the harsh weather that is happening throughout the film, as far as going through the Nevada desert, because it takes place in Las Vegas. And then you really start to feel for the character and everything that she is going through to reach her end goal. And this movie, the reason why I loved it so much was because this movie actually makes you feel something. It's almost like a screwed up Stockholm Syndrome, in the sense that she starts to bond a relationship, even though it's a screwed up relationship, with this zombie that has been stalking her through the desert. And the movie was fascinating. It was beautifully filmed. It was filmed in the desert, and it was really amazing to kind of see what one person has to go through to get what you want, whether you have a dark past, a seedy past, or whatever it is. And once again, you just really start to feel for the character, and you start to really understand everything she's going through as a human being. And I think this movie actually helps you relate to that. So I highly, highly, highly recommend this movie. It's called It Stains the Sands Red. And as far as the screening is concerned and the rating is concerned, I'm going to give this movie an ultimate 5 reels. 5 of them. Because this movie, I highly recommend that you should go out there and watch it, support it, tell me what you think about it in the comments below. Okay? So, the next film that I am actually going to review, you can get this movie through Netflix on disc. If you are kind of tired of your streaming options via Netflix, they do have an option that you can get disc mailed to you. I had that before the streaming option, so I just kind of grandfathered into it, and I actually enjoy getting disc in the mail because they have different, broader movies and such that you can get in discs than what's actually on the streaming. So I like it. I enjoy it. And the movie that I got is called Tell Me How I Die. College kids and side effects do include visions of your own murder, and a killer is among them. First and foremost, I wanted to like this movie so much. So much that I wanted to like this movie. I actually saw this movie in a store to buy, and I was like, no, I'm going to see if Netflix has it. And so I went and rented it. And the plot is so amazing. Because we all do this. I mean, who has not been in college and thought, hey, drug trial, why not? It's free money, and there might be a little bit of side effects. Whatever. But never in your life do you ever think, well, there's a serial killer. So I thought this plot was so good. Unfortunately, it's very confusing and it's very muddled. You need to pay attention to this movie. This is not the type of movie that you want to sit down and talk to your friends and do this and order pizza and all that. No, you need to pay attention. It's kind of like trying to follow fractured glass. It goes all over the place. You don't really know who's having a vision sometimes or what you're seeing is real. I'm not sure if that was a choice that was made, but in my opinion, it was not a very good choice because it was very confusing. The other bad part about this movie is that there is virtually no background information on the characters, so you can't really get attached to them as a viewer. So when the characters start getting killed off, you're kind of like, peace out, sayonara, who cares? For example, the main girl, your main protagonist in this entire film, who is receiving a majority of these visions, you know virtually nothing about her except the fact that she's a college student who used to work at a bar and she signed up for this drug trial to get money. And the only other time that you kind of glimpse into her background is when right before they give her the shot, you're not sure if it's placebo or not, and she freaks out and starts asking a million questions. Questions she probably should have asked before she signed up for this. And none of that really happened. Another issue that I had with the movie was because you had no background on these characters, when it came time to do that clue thing of guessing who the killer was, I was very confused because at one point, to kill off the extras in the film, the killer uses mustard gas to kill off a whole bunch of people who don't matter to the movie. And at that time, I was like, isn't mustard gas something you could really get, like, in the army? Like, it's a prime army gas that you could get. Like, you just can't go out to your local grocery store and buy it. Apparently, I found out that you could actually make this gas. I don't know how. I haven't looked it up because I really don't want the CIA, like, watching me for any known reason. But in the movie, I was like, is this guy military? Is he not? Is there anyone in the character that might explain it? It was very confusing. But what I did like about this movie is the kill scenes were actually pretty cool. The killer was very creative, and he was really thinking about really cool ways to kind of kill these characters off. So I really did enjoy that, because sometimes if you're going to have a crappy movie with a crappy plot, at least give me some good death scenes that I can relate to somehow, some way. So I really enjoyed that. I do have to say that the end of the movie was actually really decent, because it kind of gives you this idea, is that are these people having visions, or are they instigating deaths? So it kind of made you think in that sense. Once again, it's such a great plot, it was just executed very poorly, in my opinion. So that is the review of Tell Me How I Die. And I am going to give this movie 3 film reels. It had so much potential, but it never really got there for me. So I'm going to give it 3. Whatever you guys think, leave your comments below. Let me know. And we're going to move on to the next one. I have note cards. This is how I do it. I sit back and I watch movies on a regular basis because I have no life. And then I write stuff down. So that's me. So this movie is another disc that I got through Netflix. It's back from 2006. And it stars Robert Englund, which any horror movie fan knows, Freddy Krueger. So It's called The Last Showing. And this movie was awful. It's Robert Englund, so I was like, oh, it's going to be awesome. And it just wasn't. While they unwillingly end up as pawns in a man's own horror movie. So, Robert Englund, once again, a character that has virtually no background, plays a very old, decrepit man who works in a movie theater that is very millennial. And for some reason that they never really truly explain, he just wants to make his own horror movie, and he picks two random people. So Robert Englund is such an amazing actor, but in this movie, it very much reminded me of 1 Hour Photo. Very Robin Williams with a blonde kind of wig, stalking random people for no reason whatsoever. The movie's British. Everyone is British except Robert Englund, who sometimes had an accent and then sometimes didn't have one. So I guess the choices weren't really clear in that one, as far as that was concerned. There are a lot of holes in Robert Englund's plan of what he's going to do for these two characters. It was honestly like a plan was made of Swiss cheese. No one communicated in this film whatsoever. The two main characters, they were separated for a time and then they got back together and they just didn't listen to each other. They didn't communicate at all. He never bothered to say, hey, some guy kidnapped you and is having me do things. What's on your end? They would talk, but not talk about what the main problem is and how they can fix it. Instead of working together, they would just kind of like work opposite each other, and then they were getting into arguments that had nothing to do with the movie itself. So that was very confusing. And then I was also wondering, are they girlfriend, boyfriend? Do they work together? Do they go on a date? She was passively sexually aggressive the whole movie with all of these sexual innuendos. And then there's a moment to where Robert Englund makes her think that she might have been raped, and all of a sudden she's just kind of like, no! But you've been not to say that obviously you're putting stuff out there, this is what happened. It's not what I'm saying at all, but it was a very odd character choice for her to be very sexually passive-aggressive the whole film. The characters were easily manipulated for a rather simple and predictable plot. And then also Robert Englund looked 103 years old, but no one could overpower him. Like, he would lean against the door and the guy's over there, the 25-year-old guy's like, I can't get it open. I was like, I look like, I don't know, like Robert Englund in this movie in general, I look like I can blow him over with a fart. So I didn't understand how no one could seem to overpower him. So the realm of believability of this movie was very skewed. It was completely off kilter. Also, Robert Englund left tons of evidence all over the place. And then at the very end of the movie, when the SWAT team was called in, the police detective literally put everything together in a span of 3 minutes, because that's all the time he had in the film. And then at the very end, they kind of tease a part 2, because the detective was like, oh, I know Robert Englund is doing this. So it was horrible. It was completely laughable. I say rent it, and then make fun of it, because it is absolutely hysterical. It's one of those movies you want to pause and scream at, and then get back to it. So right above me, right up here, I am giving this movie, unfortunately, I'm giving it 1 Robert Englund scary face. That's all I'm doing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give it a film reel. I'm going to keep it simple for my producer, because he's giving me faces. But yeah, it was bad, folks. It was really bad. So that's kind of the end of the show. This is what I do. I hope you guys want to leave comments for me, and give me ideas of what more I could do. Like I said, I have a lot of streaming devices. But what I would like to do is give a shout out to the No Sleep podcast. This is one of my favorite podcasts in the entire world. It's something that I listen to on a regular basis. They basically, it's scary stories to hear in the dark. And you will get no sleep, because some of these stories are actually very, very frightening. And I enjoy listening to them wherever I go. So for more information on the No Sleep podcast, you can go to their Facebook, or you can actually go to wherever you get podcasts from, whether you're Apple or you're Android, and find out more about the No Sleep podcast. Highly recommend them. Oh, and there will be a link in the description. See, my producer's doing this, and I have no idea what this means. But yeah, so there will be a link in the description for the No Sleep podcast. Like I said, everyone check it out. And I just want to say thank you for joining the Fright Club. And always remember, the first rule of Fright Club is to talk about the Fright Club.